Hello, my name is Steve Sells, and this is Traditional Muzzleloader. Today we begin a new series featuring the muzzle-loading percussion rifle. In this series, I'm going to go into detail the methods I use to develop an accurate load, how I maintain and clean the gun to ensure reliable performance, as well as safety issues which pertain specifically to muzzleloaders, and we're going to look at some of the tools and accoutrements necessary to load and operate these guns. If you will follow along with these methods as I lay them out for you, you will be amazed at the accuracy you can achieve with your muzzle-loading percussion firearms. The first topic that we're going to discuss are tools and accoutrements necessary for the operation of the gun. Assuming that you have your rifle, there is a certain amount of tools and accoutrements that you're going to have in order to operate that rifle. First of all, you're going to need black powder. Here I have some GoX 3F powder. Now, black powder is the best propellant to use. I know that there are a lot of substitute powders available on the market today, and because of some recent government regulations, you can no longer walk into a sporting goods store and purchase a pound of powder like I did in the early days for $4. You're just going to have to deal with the fact that you're going to need to contact some of the powder distributors and manufacturers and have the powder mailed to you. You'll have to pay a hazmat fee, which is the same amount on 1 pound of powder as it would be on a case of 25 pounds. If you're not using a lot of powder, it might be your best option to get together with some friends or perhaps a club and order a case of powder to be split among you. The substitute powders that we deal with today require a much hotter flame to ignite than black powder does. These things don't work at all in flintlocks, and they don't work very well in percussion guns. I recall when Pyrex and some of these other substitute powders first came on the market, many percussion shooters modified their guns to use musket caps. Not long after that, some of the cap manufacturers began to put more of the chemical into the cap, and they called them magnum primers in order to produce a hot enough flame to ignite those things reliably. Today, they have gone to using shotgun primers to ignite these substitute powders. Try as we might, we're not getting successful results with the substitute powders. So you're going to get much better results if you just resolve to do what's necessary to get the real black powder. Now, having mentioned powder, it should go without saying, but it is necessary to state firmly, never try to use modern smokeless powders in a muzzleloader. Those powders produce pressures that the muzzleloaders just cannot contain, and it's a good way to create a pipe bomb out of your percussion rifle. Now that you have powder, you're going to need some way to contain that. Most of us like to use a powder horn or perhaps a flask to contain, transport, and pour the powder. You'll also need an adjustable powder measure. I prefer these with the cutoff funnel that levels the powder charge in the measure. You'll use this to develop the accurate load for your rifle. Now, once you've done that, you may choose to make a separate charger that holds that amount of powder, which is most accurate in your gun. Next to powder, you're going to need lead round ball, whether swedged or cast. You're going to need patching. You can use pre-cut patches and lube them with spit or whatever commercial lubricant you want to use, or you can buy them pre-lubed. I find I get much better accuracy by using strips of fabric and lubing them, cutting them at the muzzle when the ball is seated. You will also going to need some type of a short starter. I find most rifles are most accurate when you load a fairly tight combination of patch and ball. Now, I know there's a lot of disagreement about if short starters are authentic to the time period. I can't say that I've seen enough research to determine exactly when they began to be used. We know that many original hunting bags had some type of short starter, which were referred to during the time as a straight starter. I'm also aware that military were issued a mallet that they called a starting mallet, but I can't say with any accuracy when the use of the short starter began. Aside from that, you're going to need caps of the proper size. Now, most caps today come in size number 11 or number 10. Most rifles take a number 11 size cap. Size 10 caps fit revolvers, but some long guns, for example, one of my double barrel shotguns, the nipples on it require a size 10 cap. Using size 11s, when you fire that first barrel, the cap will often fall off the other nipple. So the proper fitting cap is important to the reliability of the gun, and we'll go into that in detail later. You'll also need something to contain those caps with. Now, I have a couple of cappers here. This one is a high capacity capper. It's made by Ted Cash. This design is designed for revolvers, but it works very well for a rifle. This high capacity capper will hold an entire 10, about 100 percussion caps. That's very handy if you're shooting a 3-day competition where you might shoot 200-300 rounds during the weekend. For hunting or trail walks at rendezvous, a straight line capper might be adequate. Or you can do something that's even more authentic and take a strip or a patch of leather, punch holes along the sides just the size to fit the cap, and carry that either attached to your bag strap or hang it on a thong around your neck. Okay, so we've got our rifle loaded. There's going to be a certain amount of tools that you need to maintain that rifle. And you ought to just go ahead and get these because you're going to need them all sooner or later. First, I want to talk about is the percussion nipple wrench. You're going to need this to remove your nipple for cleaning and then to put it back in, make sure you've got it snug. Mentioning the nipples, especially if you've purchased a used rifle, make sure that nipple size and thread fits the rifle. I see a lot of gentlemen showing up at a rendezvous with the rifle that's new to them, and they have the wrong size nipple threaded into that, and it's loose. Well, a loose nipple could become a projectile when you fire the rifle, so that's something you really want to make sure you've got correct. Now, you don't have to crank that thing down tight enough to strip it out. Just tighten it down enough that there's no wiggle in it and then it's snug. Okay, while we're on nipples, you're going to need some kind of nipple pick to clear the debris out of the nipple that can be left after firing the gun. You can use something homemade from a wire or a straight pin or a long needle, or you can purchase one of the little fancier ones that is contained inside a brass sleeve. Now, this is really nice when you're fishing around in your shooting bag for it, because the tip is protected and you won't end up stabbing your finger on a homemade one, as I have done many times. Now, the other accoutrements and tools that you're going to need some type of cleaning jag. This one is a button style that goes right on the end of the ramrod. This one has more of a taper to it. I prefer these tapered ones because they allow some room for the patching material. If your cleaning patch is slightly too large, it won't get stuck in the bore. You will also eventually, sooner or later, you're going to forget to put the powder in, and you're going to need a ball puller. It's basically a screw that threads into the ramrod, and it has a brass collar to keep you from doing any damage or harm to the lands and grooves of your rifle. Along with that, go ahead and get some type of patch worm. Basically, it's a little wire corkscrew that when you lose a cleaning patch down the barrel, you can put this on your ramrod, seat it down on the patch, and give it a little clockwise turn and pull that patch out without much trouble. Now, cleaning. If your rifle is a flat breech face, like most flintlocks, you'll need some type of a breech scraper. Now, this is just a little brass scraper that will remove that little hump of fouling sitting in the center of your breech. The cleaning patch jags are usually concave, and the purpose of that is to prevent deforming the ball when you seat it. If that's what you're cleaning with, the breech face won't make contact with your cleaning patch because of that concave. And there'll be a hump of fouling left in the bore, which will cause you problems later on. Now, if you have a patent breech in your rifle, you know that there is a chamber machined out in the breech, which is smaller than the bore of the rifle. We'll go into this in detail later on, but you're going to need some type of jag or brush or cleaning device that will fit down inside that patent breech. In my custom-made Hawken, before the builder breeched the rifle, he made these jags to fit in the breech. Thompson Center, I believe, makes a breech scraping jag to fit their breeches, which may not fit other brands of rifles. If that is the case, you can purchase plastic bristle cleaning brushes that will fit down into the patent breech to remove the fouling that your cleaning patch can't quite reach. Now, these are the essential tools that you will need to get started. You may wish to subscribe to this channel in order not to miss the following videos. Also, let me refer you to the website at www.traditionalmuzzleloader.com, where many of the topics we discuss in the videos are presented in the form of an article. Also, hit like if you would like to see a continuation of this series. Until the next time, shoot straight and remember to keep your powder dry.